by popular demand, or what appeared to be at least the sentiment held by some last time we met, I've decided to modify our final project a bit, and our first step toward that is going to be the second mini project. In the final project, which you can now see, or at least you can see the first page of it, you'll see the rest of it soon, I describe a process for, or what you will be doing is identifying two different measures in Social Explorer and looking at them across multiple scales, developing ultimately something called a story. This is something I'll walk through in more detail and demonstrate a little bit shortly. In this mini project, what I want to do is exploit another tool that is available at Social Explorer so that we can actually take a measure that you choose, and download it and analyze it in JMP. So I'm going to walk through the steps for identifying a measure, turning it into a CSV, or searching for the measure you're interested in, and downloading it as a CSV file so that you can open it in JMP. At Social Explorer, what we've done before is we have created a new map. Here, I'm going to, and note while I mention this, there is also, it is also possible to create a story, and we'll talk about that. That's the format that the final project will ultimately be in. It is also possible to generate a, or to look at and then use Social Explorer to put together a data table of various measures that they have access to. Most of these come from the Census Bureau. We could download these measures directly from the Census Bureau. But what we're going to do, in what I'm having you do in the overall final project, is identify two measures that you find of interest. One of those measures will come from right here. So in this first part of the final project, which is this first part we're calling Mini Project 2, I'm just asking you to identify a measure that you think is interesting. Take a look at its characteristics, download it so you can open it in JMP and generate a distribution platform, and look at the distribution platform, another visualization and that you create, and what the descriptive statistics present in the distribution platform tell you. You may want to add a couple things like variance and mode to the default settings in the distribution platform. We can talk more about questions you have about that in person. For now, in your first step to complete this mini project, which is briefer than it may seem, is to just go identify a measure that you're interested in. Here you'll see an entire list of different measures that are present at Social Explorer. Depending on how these are aggregated, if they are available at multiple scales, you can use them. The things that are definitely available at multiple scales, meaning you can get things aggregated by state, by county, by tract, by block, are the things that are present in the American Community Survey. The American Community Survey is a product produced by the Census Bureau based on an annual survey of about 250,000 Americans. It's huge. And it is performed annually. And then what they do is they take those 250,000 people and combine them 5 years at a time. So right now, if the 2020 5-year estimates were going to be released, and they're not, because of COVID maybe, or because of bad leadership in the previous administration, probably, but the ACS 2020 5-year estimates or 1-year estimates won't be made publicly available. But they take those 5 1-year estimates and calculate an average. So you have this sort of moving 5-year average. And this is probably the best data source for detailed information about all kinds of characteristics of the American population. So if I click on these 5-year estimates, you'll see I get this huge long list. And these are different waves of the American Community Survey. You'll see I've got 2015 to 19, 2014 to 18. See how that works? 2013 to 17. So the stuff that's hot off the press, or hottest off the press, is this very top one. And if I click Begin Report, I'll then be able to identify the area that I'm interested in. And so what I'm going to do is show you how to hone this down to all the census tracts in Philadelphia. I could look at all the states in America, or all the counties in Pennsylvania, or all the counties in America. The first thing it asks you to do is identify the geographies that you're working with. So I'm going to say that I'm interested in census tracts. And then I'll tell it that I want to see census tracts in Pennsylvania, and then in, wait for it, Philadelphia County. And I'm just going to say I want all the census tracts in Philadelphia County, Pennsylvania. And so it's taking all the information it has and narrowing it down to those. Now I could look at all the census tracts in St. Louis, just saying, or all the counties in South Carolina. There are different ways I could slice and dice this. What I'm going to have you do in the final project is look at two different phenomena at different scales. So compare these two phenomena, all the states in the country. Then compare them, all the counties in a state. Then compare them, all the tracts within a county or a region or a city. And then compare them, some neighborhood at a very fine-grained level, at the block level, and see how the relationships that you visualize change. The first step toward doing that is sort of understanding what the measures are in the first place that you're working with. And so here we're going to pick measure number 1 from this source just to get some basic descriptive statistics generated so you have a background understanding of what this measure looks like so that you can make sense of it. So when I have made the selection, I think I say add, yes I do, and then I say proceed to tables. Now here's where it gets fun. I can just scroll through this table and you can see these are all the measures in the American Community Survey. There are tons of them. And what I'll do is just scroll through these until I find something. I'm just doing this as an example. So I think what I'll do is find, let's see, something obscure. How about households with retirement income? I just picked this one out of a hat, but the basic idea is this would be a proxy measure for age. They're going to be, the places that have older populations are going to have more households with retirement income. So I will say add, and then show results. So I have this table. It's only showing me part of it. Note it has 385 records in it. There are actually 384 tracts in Pennsylvania. And data download is what I want to select. Now you'll notice when I go to data download, it gives me many options. I can download this table in a format for a variety of different statistics packages. But if I just say download, it's going to download it in a format that is familiar to us as a CSV or comma-separated value file. JMP has no problem reading these. And so I'm just going to say data download. Here we are, census tract CSV. And you'll notice there are other ways I could download this. Try it if you like. And so I'm just going to save this. And once it downloads, I can open that file directly in JMP. Maybe it already opened. Yeah, here we are. So here's the variable that I just downloaded. You'll notice it has a whole bunch of geographic data, geographic measures that are not particularly useful to us. But there they are if you want to know them. This number right here, GeoFIPS, is the 11-digit tract ID that the federal government uses to identify each of the tracts in the country. That can be a really helpful number to know about if you continue doing GIS. If I scroll all the way down to the end of this list, though, I'll see these 3 continuous measures. And those are the actual measures I'm interested in. What I have here is the total population of each tract, and then basically I have the number of people who are, what was the measure I downloaded? I'd have to look again. I think it's the number, the number of people who are on Social Security, is that what it was? Or on retirement? Anyway, it was a measure like that. And what I have, once I download this, is, and where did I put it? Here we are, is 3 different measurements. I have the number of people who are not, the number of people who are, I believe, and oh, this is total population of the tract. This is the number of people who are on Social Security, and this is the number of people who are not. I believe we add those together, we get the total population. From this, as you know, it's good to normalize our measures. I would be tempted to add an additional column, just say new column, and make that column be a formula. This is pretty cool, in which I take the number of people who are on Social Security, which was this second column, this one, and divide it by the number of people total, and that would give me the percentage of the population that is on Social Security, if I'm remembering the measure correctly. And that would be this one. This is telling me what percentage of the population has that status, whatever it is. Now, you don't, strictly speaking, have to normalize, although if you don't, I may say, hey, if you normalize this, it'd be easier to compare. That is to say, we would expect to see more old people where there are more people. Here, I'm normalizing it, meaning I'm saying the percentage, which is something we can compare from tract to tract, a rural tract or an urban tract. The percentages are things that we can compare to one another. So that is, in a nutshell, what I'm asking you to do in this second mini project is find a measure in Social Explorer, download the table, and then generate a distribution platform of that measure once you have it. If you have any questions about this, we can talk about them Thursday, and or approach me with them between now and then. But the idea here is just fairly simple. Find a measure, grab it, take control of it, own it, and know what it is. And then write, as you'll see in the directions, just a brief report explaining what you've done and what it tells you about this phenomenon that you're looking at.